town, we had a train coming through. I mean, if you want to talk about, you know, intense uses, having a train coming through your community, multiple times a day is pretty intensive, and having hundreds of, logging trucks, chip trucks, coming through. So we've really the intensity level for industry has really diminished over the years. And, our facilities are designed to handle a higher industrial use. And so what we're looking at is a much less intensive use. It's, there's, people get used to living a certain way, and maybe a quieter way, but the problem is we're a city, we're not a neighborhood. We're not a retirement village. We're a city, and cities have to have economy. And we need to balance our demographics. And so we do need housing, we need kids. I'm a volunteer firefighter. We are struggling to get volunteer firefighters, because people moving into the community are retirees and they don't want to volunteer for the fire department. Our school is at 150 kids. The capacity is like almost 300. So it's a concern. So there's a real balance that has to take place that I think we've been very cognizant of it, and trying to strike the right balance, but there'll always be some pushes and pulls. And I just think you'll find that in any city, versus,
when I started working in economic development, and I hate saying this, 30 years ago in Humboldt County. Um, back then it was, we have, available housing and a lot of unemployed or underemployed labor. And so our job was to try to do what we can to increase employment and jobs. And now, while that's true to a certain extent, we don't have the labor force. We don't have the housing. Our labor force is 10% smaller than it was in 2005. And so now a lot of these and we're in a competition for people among other communities. I mean, I hear this through a lot of rural communities, or even urban communities, where we just don't have people of the working cohort here. So now we're doing all we can to compete for people as opposed to industries. And so it's a much different approach. Um, and it sounds like, obviously you guys know this and are making your more attractive to folks to come up here and live and work. On the affordable housing project, I know you have one that's in process there. What's where is the status and what's the timing on that?
yeah, so I'm actually supposed to be on a call here in a couple of minutes on that project as well. So we're in the final kind of design phase of that, and it's going through the environmental process, and it's getting ready to be to go before the Planning Commission for approval. I'm super excited about this project. It's exactly what we wrote the opportunity zone for.
Yeah.
To be able to have some housing, but also to bring in retail commercial space. No one's gonna just go build you spec, commercial space. Like, you've got to have something that is the hook. And the affordable housing really is a great opportunity for Blue Lake, because there's people don't really have a good understanding of affordable housing, and I don't know if people really understand the struggle. I mean, this is housing that's gonna support teachers in our school, and like 3/4 of the workers in the city of Blue Lake will qualify for this housing. I mean, these are our people.
Right.
And there's this idea of like, oh, it's all Section 8 housing and this and that. It's like, these are the people that are already in our community that are either underhoused or paying way too much for the housing that they have. And part of the problem in Blue Lake is we have a small number of landlords that own a lot of the rental properties, and they're driving those prices up continuously. We're now seeing 2-bedroom rentals that, last year were going for $1,200. They're starting out at $2,000 a month now. We just had a house sold, last week, sight unseen, for $200,000 more than it sold for, 2 years ago.
Wow.
And it's, the struggle for housing is real, and it's real for a lot of people that already live in Blue Lake. So I'm excited that we can, hopefully provide an opportunity, for families, for young people, to get into Blue Lake. We need that. We need them. We need them more than they need us, at this
Right.
point. So, yeah, I'm super proud of this project. I'm 100% supporter of it. Like I said, the zone was written specifically to get this type of investment. It's going to be an anchor development for the community. And, every development has its issues. I could name, 20 rentals right off the top of my head right now that we have issues with in the community. It's not going to be any different, than what we're looking in the Powers Creek district. But, people are going to have a brand new place to live. It'll be the most quality development that Blue Lake has probably seen in, 75 years. So,
I know, I can't think of anything that's been built.
I mean, we have a great little community, but like, let's get real, like a lot
It's
of our
old.
housing stock is old. It needs, rehabilitation, so it like, we're not an elite community, I'm a timber kid. When I was growing up, and Stacy knows this, we were like one step above Samoa and Manila and Blue Lake, it was like, oh, those Blue Lake kids. People would say, oh, Mandy lives on the other side of the railroad tracks. Like, I mean, it was, we, we are pretty, blue collar out here. So we have
The
to
only
just
people you looked
remember
down
where we
on was
came
us
from.
Southern Humboldt kids, right?
Yeah. That
Let's
was
hear
just
for the dirt road
fun.
kids.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's pretty exciting. It's being really well thought out. And, Danco's been really, responsive to the needs of the community. So that's exciting. They're also proposing some live work units as well. That, one of the things we looked at was maybe some artist,
Mm.
space, because we have a lot of artists in the community, that having like a studio space connected to their living, space, could be really valuable. So they were like, okay, let's build it, so that's being designed in, connection to the trail, enhancement of the trail, just lots of really good things.
And you said 43 units in that? Are they
Yeah, I think it's 42 or 43. Yeah.
okay? And like one bedroom, two bedroom?
Yeah, a
Okay.
mix. Yeah. And it's a mix, a range of affordability. So
It's got to be dog friendly because
absolutely.
there's a lot of dogs there.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and what's interesting is the development. I mean, thinking about scale here, what's Blue Lake, 1,200 people or so? Yeah. So, a unit that big can result in an increase in population of like 5, 6, 7%. So, depending on the
Hopefully.
occupancy. Yeah. No, I mean,
I
I think
hope
that's
we get some
interesting.
more
I mean,
people.
you think about scale, and you know, sort of extrapolate that out to an urban area, and,
Yeah.
this is a major project, and it's one of the things that we really struggle with in state housing policy is understanding that investing in these smaller scale projects will actually have a meaningful percentage difference in the rural areas.
Yeah.
We aren't going to build 900 unit, 1,000 units developments up here because it just doesn't work. But these kind of developments absolutely make a difference.
Yeah.
That's great.
And 95% of our town will never even have exposure to it.
Right.
I mean, it's like most of the residential, development in Blue Lake is to the east of the access into this
Mhm.
site. So, technically, if you just drove home, if Laura just drove home every night on the boulevard and pulled up, into Northfield Terrace, you would never even know that anything's going on in Powers Creek District. So,
She never makes it past the logger anyway, so she doesn't.
yeah.
Nah, just kidding, just kidding. Any other questions or comments on this? Well, Mandy, thank you so much. That was exciting to see. I know I've seen some of those diagrams before, but it's been a while, and there's nothing like a good vision coupled with some policy to to make this stuff happen. And so, good work out there.
Yeah, I think that was a really critical tipping point for us, is letting people see that it could be something more than it is.
Yeah.
So that I have to say that going with Storyland was probably the best thing that we did, because we just, it's really hard to look out there and see the potential, but they're pretty good at what they do, and really fast and affordable.
Oh,
So,
cool. Cool.
yeah,
You should do
that's
more
what
of
it's
that
worth.
then. Yeah. Should do more of that. Great. Well, if we'll stop the recording then, and